We live in a world where there's a new supplement almost every single day. Ang dami-dami na hindi na natin alam kung para saan ba sila. Protein powder, creatine, BCAAs, and pre-workouts. Kailangan ba talaga natin to para makakita ng resulta sa ating journey? Do we really need to rely on supplements? And how do they actually work? Well, my name is Sebastian. I'm a registered nutritionist and dietitian, and this is the Donut Box, where we unbox stories and talk about things we usually don't talk about. So if you're ready, let's unbox this story. The Donut Box. The Donut Box. Welcome back to another episode. I am filming in my room with my aircon on, and I love it because I can wear hotter clothes and I can style up a little bit better. I have been having a crazy few weeks, but what I'm really, really proud of is being consistent as much as possible, specifically with the podcast and the videos. Because if there's something that I really like doing, it's making this content for you guys. Now, a question that you have been asking for so long, finally we are here to deliver, is to debunk or talk more about specific supplements that come into the fitness world. Ang dami-dami mo na siguro napanood at narinig, at siguro marami ka na ring na-try. Baka hindi ka nakakita ng resulta na gusto mo at iniisip mo, totoo ba to? Gumana ba talaga to? Well, today we're gonna talk about what role specific supplements in the fitness industry play, what they do, and if you should actually take it. But here's our donut box, so let's unbox them. Let's start off with one of the most popular supplements when it comes to the fitness industry, and that is protein powder. Naku, ang dami talaga nagtatanong tungkol dito, kaya pag-usapan na natin. I've actually made a lot of videos about protein and even protein powders, especially when it comes to TikTok and Instagram. Pero ngayon, talagang pag-uusapan natin. Now, protein is one of the three major macronutrients, being protein, carbs, and fats. All of them playing a very important role in our overall health, and all of them giving our body energy. Protein breaks down into what we call your amino acids. And there are 20 amino acids, 9 of which are essential. 9. Pag sinabi nating essential, ibig sabihin, hindi ito magagawa ng ating katawan. Kailangan natin makuha galing sa pagkain. These amino acids combine to build up structures in our bodies, like your muscles, like your tissues, collagen and keratin. And they also play a very big role in hormonal balance and satiety. The reason why protein is one of the most satiating macronutrients is because when your body detects amino acids in the stomach, it's going to slow down gastric emptying, or essentially the movement of food from your stomach into your intestines. Kaya mas matagal kang mabubusog. At napapansin natin yan kapag kumain ka ng kanin lang o kaya ng bread lang na mag-isa, you're probably gonna get hungry faster versus if you eat a carbohydrate source with protein and of course some extra fiber, you feel full for longer. So protein powder is essentially a powdered form of protein, and it can come from many sources. If it comes from dairy, it will be either whey protein or casein, and if it comes from plant-based sources, well, there's soy protein, pea protein, and many other variations. Now, protein's importance, especially in the fitness world, is again because amino acids are the building blocks of muscles. At nakakatulong talaga pag-build ng muscles si protein. Although you can't build muscles unless you go to the gym, do resistance training, because of course muscles are made through tearing the muscle so that it can grow back bigger and stronger. Kaya kahit kumain ka lang ng kumain ng protein, hindi ibig sabihin magkaka-muscles ka na agad. But of course, protein plays a bigger role than just for muscles anyways. Now, protein powder became very popular because a lot of gym bros and a lot of athletes tend to need a larger amount of protein. Now, for reference, a sedentary individual would need anywhere from 0.8 to 1 gram per kilogram of body weight. That's how much protein somebody would need per day, which means, let's say, somebody who is 60 kilos, if we follow that recommendation, would need around 60 grams of protein. Although a lot of professionals are now talking about how this actually seems like a low amount, even for sedentary individuals. Now, the recommendations for somebody who is more active, whether you're going to the gym, running, or doing any sort of other workouts would be anywhere from 1.2 to 2.2 grams per kilogram body weight. Kaya doon natin narinig yung 1 gram per 1 pound of body weight kapag dating sa protein, especially in the era of fitness that we hear. But the amount can be quite big, meaning if you're 150 pounds, you would need 150 grams of protein, and that just feels like a lot of protein, especially when it makes you feel full. Usually the sweet spot that is recommended by sports nutritionists and dietitians is around 1.6 to 1.8 grams per kilogram. Ibig sabihin kung 60 kilos ka, mga 100 grams of protein per day ang nirekomenda kung mas active ka at gusto mo mag-build ng muscles. Now, because protein needs tend to be quite high, it can be difficult to eat enough protein. Lalo na't iniisip mo kakain ka na isang buong chicken at mahal na ang mga protina natin ngayon. Yung mga seafood, mga karne, mahal na talaga sila ngayon. Protein powder came up. And protein powder is essentially a convenient source of protein. Kasi napakadali lang niyang kainin. Usually, you mix it with water or mix it with milk, have it as a drink, boom. You have a scoop of protein powder that offers you anywhere from 20 to 30 grams of protein already. So, madali talaga magdagdag ng protina. Plus, you can use the powder to any other recipes or dishes to help increase protein. Pwede ka gumawa ng protein pancakes or protein oatmeal. Meron ring mga gumagawa ng protein pasta, pero para sa akin, di ko alam kung masarap yun. Because a lot of protein powder, when cooked, tends to be very dry. So, of course, that really just depends on your ability and your skills to make those recipes. Pero alam ko ako, hindi ko kaya gumawa ng mga ganong klaseng recipes. One of my favorite ways to have protein powder is to mix it with milk, toss it in the freezer for overnight or 24 hours, and then put it in the Ninja Creamy para meron kang protein ice cream. But there's so many ways to use protein powder, which makes things so convenient and helps you get enough protein. Kuwari nahihirapan ka kasi nga mahal o kaya meron kang mga kinakain na hindi kasi kabagay-bagay lagyan ng manok o ng itlog, well, protein powder helps bridge that gap. That's why protein powder is just a supplement, to supplement your diet and not to replace your protein needs. So we go back to the question of, do you need protein powder? And the answer is no. Protein powder is not something you need to have, but it can be a convenient source. Because if we go into the pros and cons, number one, it is now easily available and accessible. Marami na tayong mga brands na nagbibigay sa atin ng iba't ibang klase ng protein, whether that is from milk or even plant-based sources. It's super convenient. Especially because sometimes the price actually looks better than the price you would have for buying a lot of beef or chicken or meat. Depende na lang talaga sa brand. It can really help you meet your protein needs, especially if eating a lot of protein is just very difficult. At syempre nakakatulong na rin siya sa muscle recovery at sa maintenance ng ating katawan. Now, some of the cons of protein powder would be, of course, the cost. Syempre, merong mas mura dyan, pero marami rin talagang sobrang mahal. At depende na rin talaga yun sa preference of your brand and what you like. Locally, there are brands like Athlean and Whale that aren't too expensive, but still offer quality protein powder. Another con would definitely be bloating. And this also depends on the individual, but we have to recognize that protein powder is still a processed food item. One of my biggest pet peeves when it comes to the wellness influencers online who hate on processed foods is they keep on saying na bawal ang processed food, ang sama-sama ng processed food. And then they go out to sell you protein powder. Sasabihin nila, wag ka uminom ng juice na galing sa karton kasi processed yan. Wag ka kumain ng bread kasi processed yan. But take this protein powder. And I hate that. Because why are we putting these sort of black and white labels around food and then having exceptions for certain food items? And this is for a lot of supplements as well, where they're telling you not to eat carbohydrates because it's bad, but take multiple supplements, multivitamins, because you're probably going to be deficient by cutting out a food group. Side note to that topic, just one of my pet peeves. Anyways, when it comes to protein powder, we have to recognize that it is still a processed food item and can often cause severe bloating for other individuals, especially if you're not used to it, and especially if you are a bit sensitive to dairy, at least if the source comes from dairy. And some of these protein powders tend to be formulated with artificial sweeteners. At depende na rin sa tao kung sensitive sila dun. Now, another thing I find a major con in when it comes to protein powder is the overuse of it. Because people hype up protein powder so much, they forget to remind us that it is just a supplement. You are allowed to help aid your diet, but it shouldn't replace all of your protein intake. Tuloy, meron tayong mga 4 na scoops of protein kada araw, and we're not focusing anymore on, of course, our natural protein sources, being chicken, beef, eggs, tofu, lentils, milk, which are, of course, our body's preferred sources of protein as well. Now, again, I'm not saying protein powder is automatically bad, but we want to make sure it is just there to bridge the gap rather than be the full source of our protein. A food-first approach is something that we always focus on when it comes to nutrition. Meaning, kung kaya, kunin muna natin ang sustansya natin galing sa pagkain, tapos doon na lang tayo kukuha ng mga supplements kapag kulang o nahihirapan. Protein powder doesn't have any of the magical benefits that you hear often online, which is that it's instantly going to give you muscle or that it's instantly going to help you with weight loss. It doesn't do that. It is just a protein source. And while it can help with weight loss by maybe helping you build muscle and maybe helping you with satiety, it's always going to come down to calorie content or calorie amount per day, and not because of that scoop of protein powder. Now, a big question when it comes to protein powders is usually, how do I choose or how do I buy protein powder? Well, depende talaga sa brand. You have to make sure you check the ingredients and see the list of ingredients that there might be to see if there are any potential irritants for you. That's very important. And also, hopefully, some of the first ingredients on that list would be your protein sources. Like we mentioned, it can be casein, whey, soy, pea, or rice protein, usually. Now, when it comes to plant-based proteins, you want to make sure it's a blend of different types of plant-based proteins, because the main difference between animal-based and plant-based protein sources is the 9 essential amino acids we mentioned a while ago. So with the 9 essential amino acids, this helps our body with growth and maintenance, but most plant-based sources of protein can lack one of those 9. This doesn't mean it's bad, it just means we have to try to do protein complementation, which is saying, "Ooh, chicken, you look good." I'm just kidding. I always say that joke whenever I say this. Your protein complementation is essentially taking 2 different sources of protein. If that's plant-based sources, then pea plus rice, combining it so that their missing amino acid profile can complement each other. Kaya kapag maghahanap ka ng pea protein na protein powder, gusto natin may isa pang protein source doon para ma-complement yung amino acid na yun. It's kind of difficult to check on protein powders and supplements in general because most supplements do not require FDA approval. Most supplements can just be sold and do whatever they want. That's why most of the time it's helpful to look for a protein powder that has been third-party tested. At meron tayong mga logos or meron tayong mga certifications na pwede nating hanapin dun sa mga packaging para makatulong dito. Now, when it comes to choosing what type of protein, whether that's whey protein, casein, or any of the other protein blends that's from plants, it's definitely up to you. Whey protein tends to be a quicker, more digestible source, while casein takes a bit more time. So if you're going to do casein, I would recommend you take that in the evening, and whey protein can be more throughout the day. Now, when it comes to plant-based sources of protein, whichever one you prefer would definitely be helpful. Although soy protein would be the most complete in terms of amino acid structures, one thing you'd have to look at instead would be how you respond to the protein itself. Since I know a lot of people tend to be sensitive to dairy, whey, casein when it comes to protein powders. Although it's also important to check in with maybe other ingredients listed that might be causing those discomforts that we're feeling. Another big question when it comes to protein powder is it safe for the liver and the kidneys? And yes, as long as, of course, it is a safe brand, it is definitely safe. Protein is usually limited with those who have kidney concerns because the kidney is the one that processes your protein. And when you have a lot of protein, it can be taxing to the kidney, especially with all of the byproducts that it produces. Pero madalas, nagiging issue lang ito kapag ka may kidney problems ka na talaga. If you have chronic kidney disease or nephritis or anything like that. But if you are the average healthy individual, then it is perfectly fine because you don't necessarily have to monitor your protein intake if you don't have any kidney concerns. But of course, we don't want to overdo it as well because we still don't want it to overtake other nutrients that we might have or need. So to summarize, you don't need protein powder. Protein powder is not a magical tool that helps you lose weight or build muscle, but it helps bridge the gap when it comes to your protein needs. Whew, okay. Now let's go into another very popular supplement. It is your branched chain amino acids, otherwise known as your BCAAs. So BCAAs, like we mentioned, is branched chain amino acids. And where do amino acids come from? Protein. So what BCAAs are essentially 3 amino acids that are found in supplement form. And that is your 3 essential amino acids, leucine, isoleucine, and valine. So they can be available in capsule form or powder form. BCAAs are usually said to help stimulate muscle growth. It can help reduce muscle soreness and fatigue in your exercise and prevent muscle wasting by providing energy to your muscles. Especially because leucine, which is one of those BCAAs, is the protein that usually helps stimulate muscle protein synthesis in the body. So, importante talaga si leucine pagka gusto natin mag-build ng muscles. Usually, BCAAs will be taken 5 to 10 grams around your workout. Now, when it comes to BCAAs, I would personally say that they are a waste of money. Because at the end of the day, if you're eating enough protein, and if you're even going for protein powder, mapaprovide na ng diet mo yung BCAAs. Like we said, they're amino acids. And if you have any protein source, especially one that has complete amino acid profile, you will definitely have leucine, valine, isoleucine in your diet. BCAAs really just are an added expense that probably do nothing unless you're just not eating enough protein in general. They don't outperform whey protein, protein powder, or protein in general. Kaya madalas sayang lang talaga siya sa pera. Now, there are some people who notice they do feel less fatigue or they feel better and not so sore after a workout. And it could be a placebo or it could be that they are feeling those differences, sure. But I personally wouldn't recommend for you to go out and buy it because it is a magic tool or a very helpful supplement at that. Something you could look towards aside from BCAAs would be EAAs or essential amino acids that provide even more amino acids than just the BCAAs. But again, even then, protein amount is more important than taking these specific supplements. It's just so expensive for you to add it into your water and drink it when it pretty much doesn't have a lot of impact. Yeah. All right, another major supplement for those fitness people is usually creatine monohydrate. Creatine is a compound that is made up of your arginine, glycine, and your methionine. And it's usually stored as phosphocreatine in our muscles, brain, and of course our other tissues. So our body usually stores creatine or phosphocreatine in our muscles, our brain, and even other tissues. When you work out and when you move, your body uses ATP or adenosine triphosphate as your energy source, especially when your muscles contract. That makes ATP into ADP or adenosine diphosphate. And this goes back into our biology era. But what creatine does is it's actually going to help recycle ADP into ATP again para magamit ulit natin siya bilang energy. Essentially, it is like a power bank and a backup source for energy, especially in your workouts. Creatine is often marketed for strength, muscle mass, faster recovery, and even brain performance. Usually, you'll take 3 to 5 grams per day to make sure you have enough in your body and enough stores. Now, before, there were recommendations to have a loading phase where you take 20 grams every day for 5 to 7 days, and then you start to take a smaller amount. So like you're loading up your body with creatine. But studies have showed that you don't necessarily need to do a loading phase. You can just go straight into the 3 to 5 grams per day in terms of use. Many people were very afraid of creatine, especially when there were reports that men were losing their hair. But over time, we have found that creatine is actually one of the most studied supplements out there. As in, dami talaga mga references na magbibigay sa atin ng impormasyon kung paano gumagana si creatine at kung gumagana ba talaga siya. It is the most researched supplement. It is safe long-term, it boosts strength, and even helps support cognition. So it's not even just a fitness supplement. It can also be a brain supplement at that. Now, some of the common cons would be water retention, because in order for your body to store it, it holds on to a bit more water. So there might be a slight weight gain, although most of the time people don't seem to be bothered or notice a big difference in it. And usually the whole weight gain or water retention part also helps make muscles fill up a little bit more. It has a lot of benefits. It is very safe, and it can really help us in terms of performance and muscle building towards our goals. Now, how do you choose it? Well, as much as possible, choose creatine monohydrate only. And again, look for third-party testing when it comes to the brand, and try to look for micronized powder, but that's mostly just for easier mixing. Usually you can take creatine in a drink form of mixing it with water and sipping it up. And what I like, or you can even mix it with whatever other drinks you have so that you can barely notice that you're having it. There is a brand that I like, although I forgot what it's called. They have flavored creatine monohydrate. So it makes it a fun little drinky drink while giving you creatine. So now the question goes into, should you take it? Do you have to take it? Well, it's one of the safest supplements, and it has so much research. So if you're trying to build muscle, you're going to the gym, or you're doing any sort of movement and workout and performance that needs that high intensity, creatine monohydrate can definitely be a supplement to take. Now, one of the biggest things that we're seeing online is people saying that you need creatine monohydrate even if you're not working out, but just if you're getting older, especially for females. Yun na yung nagiging bagong trend. Na parang, oh, girls in your 30s, women, look at this, you have to be taking creatine monohydrate, blah, 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 blah. No, you don't have to be taking it, okay? Personally, I only recommend it to individuals who are doing more activity and workouts rather than recommending it to the average individual. Kasi ang mas importante nating pag-usapan as we get older is the consumption of protein in general. Because as we get older, there's something called age-related sarcopenia, or essentially losing muscle as you age. And this is especially scary for women because when you hit menopause, your bones start to get a lot more brittle because your estrogen and progesterone, but specifically estrogen, actually plays a role in your bone mass and your bone density. So it is something that we really want to look into, is protecting your health by making sure you're maintaining and retaining your muscles through consumption of protein and through working out. Having creatine sounds like this magic tool or sounds like this fix for a lot of people because that's what they're now kind of promoting it and telling people you have to take That's now what a lot of wellness influencers are saying is, dapat mag-creatine monohydrate ka kasi kailangan natin to para maprotektahan ng katawan natin as we age. While it does have a lot of benefits and while you can take it even if you're not working out, I wouldn't recommend it as just take it every day type of thing to fix your body, because what we need more is promoting balanced meals and promoting better and proper protein intake instead. Now, another big controversy would be around its impact to your kidneys. Because most of the time, when you're looking at your kidney panel or magpapa-blood test ka para sa kidney mo, meron doong creatinine. At ayaw natin na mataas si creatinine kasi pag mataas yun, ay madalas merong senyas na baka merong pinagdadaanan yung kidney mo. But of course, talk to your doctor about that one. Creatinine is usually the byproduct of creatine when it is utilized. or phosphocreatine. Pag nagamit yan, meron tayong byproduct, which is creatinine. So it's definitely understandable why people see this as an issue for your kidney or your liver. But again, this has been seen as one of the most safest to consume supplement because of all of the research. So it's not really going to have a big impact to your kidney unless meron ka na talagang kidney problems. I personally feel like it's helpful for me, especially when I am doing a lot of intense tennis sessions and I'm trying to lift more. So I do see those benefits. My only problem is I'm never consistent with any supplement because I always forget to take it. And that's a me thing. That's a me issue at that. Pero hindi ko siya mararekomenda na i-take mo lang kasi super research siya. I would say use it with purpose. That's the most important. All right. There's always so many supplements in the market, so many to talk about. So if you do have any more that you want to dive into, then just leave it in the comments below and we'll definitely get on another episode to talk about that. We could talk about it all now, but then this would be a super long video and I don't know if you would watch the whole thing. Kaya paunti-unti na lang muna. But I hope this episode was helpful for you in breaking down some supplements, wiki, and helping you have more clarity on what you may have to add. Again, food first talaga ang pinaka-importante. Hanggat kaya, sa pagkain muna natin kakainin at kukunin ang mga sustansya, and supplements will help bridge the gap. Because they are supplements. Now, it's time for an outfit check. Oh my gosh, I forgot to wear my donut earrings. I only realized that now because I've been wearing these macaron earrings. I'm so sad. This has broken our donut streak. I'm torn. Anyways, the donut earrings I always wear is from the Craftolio and I can't believe that I'm not wearing it. Okay, we have a hat here, which is from Nike. I have this top inside, which is from Shopee, and I'll link it below. And this cute little polo on top that has eggs, bacon, fork, bread is from Milkware. And I also have my usual ring stack. And my necklace is from Sky and Loon Shop, and it's just a little heart pendant with some rackets on it, which I had customized. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you liked it, don't forget to follow and subscribe wherever you are listening. And follow at itsjosebastian on all the platforms that you have and listen and watch on, because I am there for more content. You can also follow at the Donut Box Pod for more information and more snippets to be part of the next episodes. Until then, you always deserve to eat. And this time I will wear my donut earrings. Oh my gosh. Thanks for listening to the pod. This is the Donut Box.